Okay, welcome to the latest edition of the Iscah Q&A video series. This week we have a bumper 21 questions for you about the best pathway for accountants and other pro rata occupations, state sponsorship, 485s, 887s, partner points, visa processing and invitation times, and lots more. We've taken a whole heap of questions from our Facebook page over the last couple of weeks, edited them slightly, and we're going to repeat our answers here for you, so hopefully it helps you with your situation. Okay, let's get cracking. I'm about to graduate with an MPA this month. What is the best advice you can give to obtain PR as an accountant? Okay, let's give a long answer to this one, so all those people looking at accountancy can really understand their options. If you can get to 75 points, at the moment you're home and hose. You'll get an invite straight away. So let's see how you can get to 75 points. If you're aged between 25 and 32, you've got 30 points for your age. If you've got something equivalent to an Australian degree, you'll get 15 points, gets you to 45 points. 5 points for Australian study, if you complete the 2-year study rule, gets you to 50 points. Obviously, to get an accountancy assessment, you normally need to get the equivalent of 7's IELTS, PTE 65s, but let's say you get 20 points for English. That can get you to 70 points in total. So 20 points for English will be 8 IELTS, PTE 79s, there's a few other tests as well. You need 5 extra points. You can go to the professional year. You can get a 2-year temporary 485 visa to give you a bit more time. Do the professional year, gets you to 75 points. That will get you an invite. Difficult, but that's one pathway. If you only get 70 points, we're currently saying it's about a 40-week wait for an invite, because the invitation date is crawling along at about 3 or 4 days every new invite. So every 2 weeks it moves 3 or 4 more days. And given it's about 70 days behind, we're saying at the moment about 40 weeks for an invite at 70 points, but 75 points will get you an invite at the moment. The other option is you get a full-time job offer as an accountant or as an auditor or something related in that profession. So that then gives you the options of the 457 temporary visa or maybe a 187 permanent visa if you're living in a regional area. There's another option. The third option, which I think a lot of people seriously need to have a look at, is to get an assessment or to go and study for 1 full year in pre-primary or secondary school teaching, and then get an assessment as a pre-primary or a secondary school teacher. Now the reason for that is that you only need to get to 60 points to get an invite in those occupations. There is a high English language requirement. You need 8s academic in speaking and listening, and you need 7s academic in reading and writing. Okay, but that's easier than trying to get 8s in all of them and do the professional year as well. Okay, if you're still going to apply as an accountant at 75 points. So this way, you do 1 year, say a 1-year grad diploma, postgrad diploma in secondary school education or pre-primary education, and you obtain those English marks, 8, 8, 7, 7, academic. That gets you an invite as a teacher, much easier than as an accountant. And the good thing is, the teaching numbers are nowhere near made up for this program year. There's a lot of places left, and it's not on the flag list of occupations. So in theory, it's not in danger of coming off next year. So if I had a 2-year 485 visa at the moment, looking for it away as an accountant, I'll be going to do 1 year studying education and trying to go that pathway rather than waiting as an accountant. Okay, that's what I think accountants should do. Okay, I've got a 1-year diploma of management. I'm studying a degree course, but I've got a sponsor for RSMS. Is a 1-year diploma of management okay? Depends on the occupation. If the occupation is retail manager or customer service manager, something around that sphere, a diploma of management or diploma of business, an AQF diploma is okay. You don't need any work experience for the RSMS visa if you've got the right qualification. So those qualifications work, let's say, for retail manager, store manager, something like that. Obviously the hard part often is getting the nomination approved, but certainly your qualification is okay for those occupations. Okay, let's have a look. Hi, good morning. I've applied for a subclass 500 visa and got approval for my Masters up to July, but I don't want to do any more study. Can you please advise me if I get a contract for employment of 12 months, can I apply for state sponsorship under 190 in WA? Okay. This student sounds like they're an accountant from some notes they gave us earlier on. Now, accountant for a 190 in Western Australia needs to have 1 year postgraduate work experience in Australia as an accountant or closely related occupation, or 3 years postgraduate work from overseas. At the moment, they haven't mentioned any work here, so if you don't have any work experience, you cannot get sponsored for a 190 in WA, even if you have a job offer. All right, so an accountant needs 1 year work here, 3 years work overseas, one of those two, plus a 1 year full-time job offer. So very hard in Western Australia as an accountant. Okay, let's carry on. Now the auditor cut-off date. Now this was interesting. So the auditors, the invitation date for auditors was clicking along nicely back a few months ago. And just to show you what happened, they were inviting people from the 11th of September 2016 or older as auditors, and instead of the next invite being after the 11th of September, a more recent date, it went all the way back to the 20th of April 2016. All right, so it went back nearly 5 months. We really couldn't see why that had happened. Anyway, it looks like we've sort of cracked it. We've seen some information that looks like it's come from immigration at some point. And basically what they've explained is, when you lodge an expression of interest, if you don't accept the invitation, then 60 days later, your EOI opens up again. Okay, so what happened back on the 3rd of August this year was they sent out 110 invitations for auditors. 78 of those invitations were not taken up. Now, the reason they weren't taken up, the most logical reason, is that a lot of auditors applied for auditor and for accountant. They got an accountant invitation about the same time. They took up the accountant invitation, or they got maybe a 190 invitation from a state government. And so they never took up the auditor invitation. So all those 78 invitations never got taken up. 60 days later, those EOIs opened up again for being able to be invited. And the department, in the 12th of October round, of their 55 places, 49 went to people who who'd never accepted their previous invitation. So that just totally corrupted, I guess, the invitation date. So instead of it going more and more recent, all of a sudden the department had this whole pool of people who were 3, 4, 5 months older than other people waiting, and they were allowed a second invitation. Now the chances are they won't take up that invitation because they didn't take it up the first time, so they probably applied for a different type of permanent visa, different occupation, so they probably won't take it up the second time. The problem we've got, and we've gone to the department about this, is what happens to those missing invitations? Where do they go? If they weren't taken up the first time or they don't get taken up the second time, does that mean the department don't invite any more to make up for those places? Or do they say, hey, we've got all these spare places that never got taken up. Do we now add those to the next round? Logically they will, because they're so far behind their invitations for the whole program, but as soon as we hear about it, we'll advise all the people on Facebook and stuff. But that's what happened. Basically, people did not take up their invitations. 60 days later, those EOIs opened up again. That totally corrupted the pool of people who were available. There were people 4 or 5 months further back in the queue that suddenly got a second invite, and so the computer system has come up with a really strange date. That's why. And that's what's happened as well for one of the IT occupations. I think ICT business analyst, the same thing looks like it's happened for that. So all the pro rata occupations where you can potentially get double assessments, accountant and auditor, you can get a skills assessment for either in most cases. Looks like ICT business analyst, you can get an assessment along with another occupation. So those pro rata occupations, it's not quite working the way the department envisaged at the moment. Okay, hi Iscah, I finished my 2-year master's degree. My final grades are published on the 4th of November. I want to apply for a 485 post-study work visa. My student visa will expire on the 31st of January 2017. I've got 2.5 months left. Can I wait till January to apply for the 485 visa, or do I have to apply now? All right, you finish your studies in November, December. The department consider that the end of, I guess, a calendar year as far as your studies are concerned. So they have no problem you waiting till really late in January to apply for your 485 visa, and you should wait until then as well, because what that will allow to happen is that when they then processed your application, let's say 3-4 months, and they finally grant you the visa for 2 years, you end up with more time in Australia because you took more time to lodge the application. So if I was you, I'd wait till January. Certainly the department have no problem with that at all. Okay, what are my chances of an invite for a 489 family sponsored visa under my occupation? Software developer. 0, mate. I'm sorry, but there's no way that occupation will get an invite at the moment. The current policy is that it's a pro rata occupation. All the places for that occupation will go to 189 applicants. If there are any left, which there won't be any left, they'll then go to the 489s, and it's just not going to happen. So unless the department completely change their policy around the 489s, which there is a chance because the 489s are miles behind their pro rata targets as well, unless they change that policy, the answer is no, you won't get an invite this program year. Okay, with regards to our previous discussions, I'd like to apply for a graduate visa in January through your agency. Please know the cost of application and your charges. Okay, so for a 485, immigration will charge $1,470 for the main applicant. You'll have to pay a skills assessment fee. In addition to that, if you want us to manage the application, we charge $1,400 plus GST, and then we'll manage all the processes for you, the skills assessment and the visa and any advice around that. And then if later on you use us for another visa, we reduce our fees because we've already got your details for the 485, and so it's a lot cheaper for a second application. Hi, I'm on a 489 visa. I got married last week. I want to bring my wife to Australia. I'll be applying for an 887 in 3 months. Can I add my wife to the 887, or can I only add her to the 489? Does she have to live in a regional area for 2 years? Otherwise, how will she get PR? Okay, your wife needs to apply for a 489 as soon as possible. The reason is she can't be added onto an 887 application once you've already lodged it. It's one of the few categories you can't do that for. So you really want her to get the 489, come here, and then you apply for the 887 together. Because she's a secondary applicant, she doesn't have to meet the 2-year rule in the regional area, so that part's good. And that's a much cheaper way than instead you getting your PR, then sponsoring her for a partner visa, which is going to cost you nearly $7,000 as an immigration fee, plus there's well over 2-year waiting time. So in short, get a 489, bring it here, apply for the 887 as soon as you can after that. Okay, you say that pro rata for mechanical engineers is going to come in. Will it be possible to get through to 60 points, or through with 60 points this program year? Okay, our feeling's been for a long time mechanical engineer was going to be pro rata because they're using their places so quickly. Now from what we can see, there's only about 260 places left for this program year, and it looks like they're only going to start giving about 17 places or so per round for that occupation. The numbers we've seen confirm that. Immigration will likely confirm that in the next EOI, which I think comes out for the 23rd of November results, so it should come out in a few days' time. And we're pretty sure they've already made mechanical engineering pro rata, and so as a result of that, 60 points is not going to get an invite this program year. Okay, it's certainly going to be 65, maybe even pushed up to 70 some weeks. But we can see from the data that we've sort of seen on the occupational ceilings that they've already gone pro rata mechanical engineers, and we think they'll announce that in the next few days. Hi, can you please confirm when a case officer is allocated for a 189, how long does the processing take with a dependent spouse and children? We generally say it only takes a couple of months from when the visa's being given to or application's being given to a case officer. It's really quick. The waiting time is usually to get an invite. Once it's lodged, unless there are delays in police clearances or security clearances, normally just a couple of months. Hi, I want to know, can we lodge separate EOIs for different subclasses in one occupation, i.e. 189, 190 with a 489 brother sponsoring? Yeah, look, you can lodge as many EOIs as you want. It doesn't cost you anything to do that, but it's certainly better to have separate EOIs than to try and group visa categories together on the same EOI. The reason is that if you put a number of categories together and they invite you, it actually closes off the other options for you. It's free anyway. If state governments can see that you're just lodging EOI just saying you want to go to them, it's certainly a better selling point than having one EOI with multiple states being nominated or multiple visa categories being nominated. So as a sort of tactical tool, we would suggest you always lodge separate EOIs. Doesn't cost any money, bit more time for you, definitely increases your chances. Hi, I'd like to ask a question. I have a 187 as a regional sponsor. Am I able to work part-time somewhere else? Absolutely. If your 187 is granted to you, your main obligation is to work full-time for that company, but you are allowed to work for any other company at the same time, in sort of overtime, weekends, whatever. So you can have a second employment, no problems at all for the 187 visa, as long as you are continuing to work full-time for your sponsor. You can't do that for 457s, but you certainly can do that for a 187. Okay, I've been granted a 190 visa. Do I need to inform the state where I'm living if I want to move out of that state? I called the New South Wales office. I explained my situation, that I had problems with accommodation. They said I need to try and find a place to live in New South Wales only. All right, garbage. Okay, 190 visa, if that gets granted to you, let's say New South Wales are sponsoring or any state is sponsoring, you can move anywhere you want in Australia. There is no legislation at all that stops you moving to another state. Immigration don't care. The state themselves would like you to live in their state, I get that, and they will answer questions on the phone to say you should stay in their state, but immigration will have no problems at all if you move to another state on a 190 visa. Can't do it for some other visas, certainly for the 190, doesn't matter what the state says to you, you can move from New South Wales to Victoria, to Tasmania, Northern Territory, wherever you want, and you don't have to advise anyone at all. You're a permanent resident. If they tell you that, it's garbage. Anything else than that is garbage. Hi there, my bridging visa C is about to come into effect, and I've applied for an 887 visa. Can I start working on my bridging visa C, and will that count towards my permanent residence for my 887 visa? Okay, an 887 visa is when you've got a provisional 489 visa already, and you're then going to live in a regional area for 2 years, work in that regional area for 1 year, and hold that visa for 2 years as well. Now, you can count work on a bridging visa A or B towards your 1 year work. So bridging visa C actually doesn't help you. But I wouldn't worry too much, because you have to be on the 489 visa for 2 years anyway. And so you need to wait till that visa is granted and wait 2 years before you can apply for PR. In that time, you're very likely to find a year of work. And so really you wouldn't have needed any time on a bridging visa to try and get you 12 months of work. You're likely to get it on your 489 visa. But the short answer is no, you can't count work on a bridging visa C, only a bridging visa A and B for a 887 application. Okay, good morning. I've got a quick question about adding partner points. I'm applying as an accountant for a 189. Can you tell me how I can get partner points? Okay, so your partner needs to obtain at least IELTS 6s or PTE 50s or similar test, similar results in another English test. Needs to have a successful skills assessment in an occupation on the skilled occupation list and be aged between 18 and 49. If your partner ticks off all those three things, they will contribute 5 partner points for you. You must have the skills assessment and the English before you actually get invited by immigration for that visa. Hi there, came as a student 7 months ago. I've done a diploma of management. I've got experience of 6 months as a restaurant manager. I now want to apply for RSMS. Will my diploma of management be okay for that? Okay, so a restaurant manager sets menus with the chefs and cooks, organises special functions, looks at sort of food hygiene, recruits staff, not a lot of those duties are units in a diploma of business or management. So we always, with caution, say a diploma of business or management is probably okay for a restaurant manager. We know a diploma of hospitality is perfect for it, but a diploma of business or management, we don't say 100%, we say it's likely okay. Probably 75% of the time it's okay. Probably the last 10 or 12 we've done with immigration, the department's never questioned us, but we know that the units for a diploma of management don't match perfectly with the job of restaurant manager, so for us it's a 75% match. Hi, I've applied for a 187, I've got a bridging visa B. Now if I cancel my student visa, is that going to affect my 187 visa application? Okay, so it's not. If your student visa gets cancelled for any reason other than fraudulent documents, like a 4020 for example, you gave fraudulent information, fraudulent documents. If it's not that, if it's just that you've breached your work conditions or you've pulled out of enrolment, something like that, it will have no effect at all on your 187, but it will move you to a bridging visa E, and you'll have to apply for permission to work. Hi, I've got 75 points as a system analyst. How long should I have to wait? 75 points is magic. Well done for getting there. You should get an invite next time they do an invite for a skill select, because all 75 pointers are getting an invite at the moment. Ask a couple of questions. My partner is about to complete her study. She has an English score of 7s in IELTS. I'm studying accounting. Whether I'm going to apply for a 189. Can I include my name as well? Our relationship is not very long. Okay, so if you want to be included in your partner's application, you need to either be married to her or have accumulated 12 months de facto relationship, or you meet the relationship criteria that states like Queensland, Victoria, ACT, Tasmania and New South Wales have, which is less than 12 months. In states there, you can be in a very short period, 6 months or even less sometimes, and they will recognise you in a genuine relationship. So if you can get a relationship certificate from New South Wales, Queensland, Victoria, ACT or Tasmania, or you live together 12 months, or you're married, you can be added to her application. The department will be happy with any of those three options. Okay, now I've been granted PR. My employer is giving me a stressful time, making me do extra work on top of what I was sponsored for and not pay me any extra. I've got my Australian citizenship approved. I'm waiting for the ceremony. When I obtain my citizenship, can I leave my employer? Absolutely. Once you're an Australian citizen, you can walk away from that employment. The department will not cancel your citizenship unless you gave fraudulent information in acquiring citizenship. So if you were sponsored, say for RSMS, you're supposed to work for that company for a couple of years, then you get Australian citizenship halfway through, you can walk away and the department will not cancel your citizenship. You no longer have an obligation to work for that company anymore. Now, you kept going to say some migration agents said you'll be cancelled. Absolutely not. If you've got citizenship and you walk away from your employment afterwards, zero problem. Any problems at all, get in touch with us. But we know the legislation says you won't lose your citizenship for that. Hi, my student visa was cancelled. I lost my appeal at the MRT. Then with the minister, I left Australia on a bridging visa E. Now I'm getting married to my Australian partner. Do I have to wait for 3 years before I can apply? Okay, so as long as your student visa wasn't cancelled under 4020, as we mentioned before, like fraudulent information or you gave false information to the department, false documents, as long as it wasn't that, then the 3-year exclusion does not affect you for a partner visa. The 3-year exclusion would affect you for, say, temporary visas, student visa, visitor visa, 457, but it doesn't affect someone for a partner visa. So, yeah, so you can still apply for that. Okay, that's all 21 questions. Hope you've enjoyed that. Remember, the rules are always changing, so if you have questions, get in touch with us at www.iscah.com for a consultation, answer to a question, or find out how we can help you with your visa application. And I will talk to you soon. Have a great weekend.